A transmission replacement on a modern SUV costs between $5,000 and $10,000. Some luxury models push past $15,000. And the craziest part, most of these failures are not caused by abuse or bad luck. They are caused by owners doing what they thought was the right thing. A routine service either got done wrong, got done at the wrong time, or never got done at all because a dealer told them they did not need it. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 biggest transmission service mistakes SUV owners keep making, and why each one is a ticking time bomb sitting under your vehicle right now. Mistake number 1, and this is the big one, believing in lifetime transmission fluid. This is the single most damaging lie in the automotive industry right now. Brands like BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram all stamp lifetime fill or sealed for life on their transmissions. Sounds incredible, right? One less thing to worry about. Here is what they do not tell you. When manufacturers say lifetime, they are not talking about the lifetime of your SUV. They are talking about the lifetime of the warranty. That is typically 5 years or 100,000 miles. After that, not their problem anymore. And here is where it gets really interesting. The companies that actually build these transmissions, ZF and Aisin, the 2 biggest transmission manufacturers in the world, directly contradict the car brands that use their products. ZF and Aisin both recommend changing the transmission fluid every 50,000 to 80,000 miles. So the people who engineer and build the transmission say, change the fluid, but the people who sell you the car say do not bother. Why? Because lifetime fluid makes the car seem more maintenance-free, which lowers the perceived cost of ownership, which sells more cars. That is the whole game. Meanwhile, your transmission fluid is degrading from heat, accumulating metal shavings from normal wear, and slowly turning into an abrasive sludge that grinds away at the clutch packs, solenoids, and bearings inside your gearbox. A mechanic in Texas documented this perfectly. He inspected a 2013 Toyota Avalon with over 100,000 miles that had never had its transmission fluid changed because the dealer said it was good for life. When he pulled the filter, the fluid was pitch black and smelled burnt. Classic signs of overheated, degraded fluid that is no longer protecting anything. The official dealer had actually refused to service it. If you own an SUV and you have never changed the transmission fluid because someone told you it was lifetime, get it checked immediately. A fluid change costs $150 to $300. A transmission replacement costs $6,000 to $10,000. Do the math. Mistake number 2, getting a power flush instead of a drain and fill. This one destroys transmissions, and the worst part is that most people think they are doing the right thing. A transmission flush uses a machine that pushes new fluid through the system under pressure, forcing out all of the old fluid. Sounds thorough, right? Here is the problem. If your sport utility vehicle has high mileage and the fluid has not been changed regularly, there is built up sludge, varnish, and debris inside the transmission that has essentially settled into place. Some of that debris sits in gaps between worn components, providing just enough friction to keep things working. When a flush machine blasts through under pressure, it dislodges all of that material at once. That debris floods into the valve body, clogs narrow passages, and jams the solenoids that control your shifts. Within days or weeks, the transmission starts slipping, shifts become harsh and erratic, and eventually it fails completely. Honda has publicly stated that flushing is not necessary for their transmissions, and some reports indicate that both Honda and GM may void your transmission warranty if a flush machine was used. Multiple forums are filled with horror stories. One owner had his transmission flushed at a quick lube shop at 100,000 miles. Within a week, the transmission hesitated going into gear. 2 weeks later, full-on slipping. He pulled the pan, and the filter was completely clogged. The detergents in the new fluid cleaned everything loose, and it all went straight to the filter. The correct approach for most sport utility vehicles is a simple drain and fill. You drain the pan, which removes about 30 to 50% of the old fluid, replace the filter if your vehicle has a serviceable one, and refill with fresh fluid. It is gentler and it is safer. If you do it every 30,000 to 50,000 miles, you will always have mostly clean fluid circulating through the system. Never let a quick lube shop talk you into a power flush, especially on a high-mileage vehicle. Mistake number 3, using the wrong transmission fluid. This one sounds too simple to be a real problem, but it kills more transmissions than you would think. Every transmission is engineered to work with a specific fluid formulation. That fluid has exact viscosity ratings, friction modifiers matched to the clutch materials inside your particular transmission, and additive packages designed for those specific operating temperatures. Use the wrong fluid and everything goes as ways. The friction modifiers will not match your clutch packs, causing excessive slipping or grabbing. Seals and gaskets can deteriorate from incompatible additives. Shift quality goes from smooth to harsh almost immediately. One transmission repair shop documented how incorrect fluid-damaged clutch packs, solenoids, and internal bearings in vehicles that came in within months of having the fluid changed at generic service shops. These shops often use a universal fluid and claim it works in everything. It does not. Your Jeep Grand Cherokee requires a different fluid than your Toyota Highlander, which requires a different fluid than your BMW X5. Always use the exact fluid type specified in your owner's manual. It might cost a few dollars more per quart than the universal stuff, but that is nothing compared to a $7,000 transmission rebuild because someone saved $20 on the wrong fluid. Mistake number 4, overfilling or underfilling the transmission. This is where a lot of do-it-yourself jobs and even some shop jobs go wrong. Modern transmissions operate within incredibly tight tolerances. The fluid level has to be precise, and I mean precise. Too much fluid causes the gears to churn through excess liquid, creating foam. Foamy transmission fluid does not transmit hydraulic pressure properly. Your shifts become erratic, the transmission overheats, and internal pressure builds to dangerous levels. Overfilling can cause pressure buildup and foaming that leads to catastrophic damage. Too little fluid is equally destructive, but in a different way. Without enough fluid, the pump can suck air, clutch packs do not get adequate cooling, and critical components run metal on metal. Overheating accelerates exponentially with low fluid. The problem gets worse with modern sport utility vehicles because many manufacturers have removed the transmission dipstick entirely. Your $55,000 sport utility vehicle might not even have a way for you to check the fluid level at home. These so-called sealed transmissions require a specific procedure to check the level. You have to get the fluid to a precise temperature, usually between 95 and 113 degrees Fahrenheit, then remove a check plug and see if fluid drips out at a specific rate. Too fast means overfilled. Too slow means underfilled. This requires a diagnostic scan tool and a lift. It is not something you eyeball in your driveway. If the shop doing your fluid change does not know the exact procedure for your specific sport utility vehicle, They can easily get the level wrong, and you will not know until the damage is already done. Hey, if you're learning something new here, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you think. Mistake number 5, ignoring the transmission filter. Here's a dirty little secret. When most shops do a transmission fluid change, they drain the old fluid and put in new fluid, except they skip the filter. On many sport utility vehicles, the transmission filter sits inside the pan at the bottom of the transmission. To replace it, you have to remove the entire pan, swap the filter, clean the magnets that catch metal debris, install a new gasket, and then carefully refill and level the fluid. That is more labor, more parts, and more cost. So a lot of shops just skip it. The problem is that your transmission filter is catching all the wear particles, clutch material, and contamination that builds up over time. A clogged filter restricts fluid flow, which drops pressure to the clutch packs and bands. Lower pressure means slipping. Slipping means heat. Heat means accelerated wear. And accelerated wear means a failed transmission. Service manuals recommend inspecting and replacing the transmission filter every 30,000 miles under severe conditions, which include city driving, frequent short trips, towing, and extreme temperatures. That describes how most sport utility vehicle owners actually drive. If you've had 3 or 4 fluid changes and nobody has ever touched the filter, you're running on borrowed time. Mistake number 6, changing old, neglected fluid on a high-mileage transmission and expecting a miracle. This is the flip side of the lifetime fluid problem. Someone drives their sport utility vehicle for 120,000 or 150,000 miles without ever changing the transmission fluid. The fluid is black, it smells burnt, and the transmission is already showing signs of wear, maybe some slipping, maybe some rough shifts. So they get a fluid change thinking it will fix everything. Sometimes it makes things worse. Here is what is happening inside that transmission. Over years of neglect, the degraded fluid has deposited varnish and sludge throughout the system. Worn clutch packs have lost grip, and ironically, that thick, gunked-up old fluid is providing just enough friction to keep the clutches engaging. It is essentially holding the transmission together with grime. When you drain out that old fluid and replace it with fresh, thin, clean fluid, those worn clutch packs suddenly cannot grip anymore. The new fluid does not have the same friction characteristics as the built-up contamination that was compensating for the wear. Shifts start slipping, and within weeks the transmission can fail. This does not mean you should never change the fluid on a high-mileage vehicle. It means you should have a transmission specialist inspect it first. Check the fluid condition and look at the pan for metal shavings. If there is significant debris, the transmission may already be damaged beyond what a fluid change can fix. In those cases, a fluid change is just postponing the inevitable. The lesson here is simple. Start early and stay consistent. A drain and fill every 30,000 to 50,000 miles from the day you buy the vehicle means you will avoid ending up in this situation. Mistake number 7, not adjusting service intervals for how you actually drive. The maintenance schedule in your owner's manual typically lists 2 intervals, normal and severe. Here is the thing most sport utility vehicle owners do not realize. Almost everyone qualifies as severe. The severe service conditions include frequent stop-and-go traffic, short trips under 10 miles, driving in extreme hot or cold temperatures, towing or hauling heavy loads, driving on dusty or gravel roads, and mountainous terrain. If you commute in traffic, live anywhere that gets genuinely hot or cold, tow a trailer even occasionally, or regularly load up your 3-row sport utility vehicle with the whole family and their gear, you are operating under severe conditions. That means you should be following the shorter service interval, not the longer one. For most sport utility vehicles, that is every 30,000 miles instead of 60,000 miles or more. Sport utility vehicles get hit especially hard because they are heavier than sedans, which means the transmission works harder. All-wheel drive systems add even more stress with the transfer case and additional drivetrain components. Add towing into the mix, and your transmission fluid is degrading 2 to 3 times faster than the manufacturer's normal schedule assumes. Transmission fluid operates at temperatures well over 200 degrees Fahrenheit under normal conditions. Every 20-degree increase above operating temperature cuts the fluid's life in half. Towing up a mountain grade on a summer day, that fluid is cooking. So let's recap. Stop believing in lifetime fluid. It does not exist. Always do a drain and fill, and never do a power flush on a high-mileage vehicle. Use the exact fluid your manufacturer specifies, no universal substitutes. Make sure the fluid level is set precisely using the correct procedure. Do not skip the filter. Do not wait until 150,000 miles to do your first fluid change. And adjust your service intervals for how you actually drive. A $200 fluid service every 30,000 to 50,000 miles can save you from a transmission replacement that costs $6,000 to $10,000. That is probably the best return on investment in all of car maintenance. And the sad part is, most SUV owners will never hear this until it is too late. That is all for today. If you found this valuable, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Drop a comment below if you have ever had a transmission horror story. I want to hear about it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.